and vulnerable to damage. Because of this, it cannot yet be filmed.
The piece was in very bad condition. This is a very unique piece. Scientifically, it was difficult to treat because mostly we are used to papyrus. But for leather, that was very difficult.
After a painstaking analysis of the fragments, Dr. Sherbini managed to reconstruct some of the text on paper. What he discovered was breathtaking. The leather manuscript was used in special temple rituals that had nothing to do with death or the afterlife. But many years later, these temple rituals were adapted for use in the afterlife. They are the real-world origins of the Book of the Dead. Dr. Sherbini found proof of this on Sepi's coffin in the Cairo Museum. The leather manuscript was produced centuries before the coffin, but some of the spells and creatures depicted on the manuscript were exactly reproduced on the coffin.
Here, for the first time, we have color illustrations of these creatures exactly as we find in Sepi, and sometimes even in some places even better. So we have another version. And this points us to, well, it opens for us like a gate, new gate.
Originally, these spells allowed the user to access restricted areas in a temple. But on the coffin, they are intended for the afterlife, to allow the dead to pass through the gates of the underworld. The Book of the Temple had evolved into the Book of the Dead. This remarkable discovery could overthrow centuries of Egyptology. It shows that the spells of the Book of the Dead were originally used for the living. These living rituals still resonate in one of Egypt's best-preserved sacred sites. A short distance north of Luxor lies the Dandara Temple Complex, dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of women, love, and fertility. The superb decorations on the temple ceiling show the journeys of the gods through the heavens. But these images also evoke the journeys and experiences that Egyptians faced in their everyday lives. The present structure dates from around 100 BC, but there was an earlier sanctuary here as far back as 2600 BC, only a few centuries before the leather manuscript was written. The manuscript describes the kind of sacred ceremonies that would have taken place here. This is fascinating evidence of the religion the Egyptians practiced 4,000 years ago, in their homes and in their temples. Until now, Egyptologists knew little about this long-forgotten religion.
All this were lost, and we only were left with funerary material. But now, for the first time, we see that we have evidence.
In the temple, there were certain rooms where unlawful intrusion could cost the trespasser his life. The temple priests believed that the gods dwelt in these forbidden rooms, and that they were watched by supernatural guardians, such as these impassive demons, armed with great knives. But it was not these imaginary demons who killed intruders, but the temple's own human guards. Sometimes they even burnt the offender's body, so that his soul could not survive in the afterlife. In order to safely access the restricted areas, Egyptian priests needed special knowledge, spells, or secret codes. The leather manuscript contained the information needed for this purpose.
The leather roll gives us assurance that we have most of the spells, which were already in funerary context, had already an origin in rituals happening in real life.
The leather manuscript was used in temple rituals that reflected the everyday lives of ordinary Egyptians. The manuscript was later adapted for use in the afterlife. This is why the journey through the afterlife involves passing through gates and interacting with gods and demons. And it could be why so many afterlife concepts and rituals originate in real-world experiences. Many of these rituals were rooted in the physical world, from mummification and the opening of the mouth to the great festivals of Opet and the Valley. So too was the belief that ancestors and demons could affect people's lives in real and tangible ways, in everything from playing a board game to protecting mother and baby during childbirth. But the afterlife beliefs involved more than simple ceremony. The Book of the Dead also embodied a moral code that was powerfully linked to life experience. This evokes a potent sense of wrong and right, and many of the values that human beings still hold dear in the present day. As alien as the ancient Egyptian religion may seem to the modern mind, it embodies a basic morality that is surprisingly familiar. Ancient Egyptians did not consider people to be dead in the way that we do today. For them, the Book of the Dead could easily have been called the Book of the Living, because for them, the afterlife was nothing more and nothing less than an echo of the living world, an echo that resonates in their magnificent sacred sites, enduring monuments to life and death in ancient Egypt.
Petra, the ancient rock-carved city of ancient traders, is an awe-inspiring sight. What do Nabatean sites reveal about women's power and privilege during that time? Next Thursday, Sacred Sites at 9:35 on Pearl. You're watching TVB Pearl. I'm Shorty. It's more from Marketplace. Stay with us. A prep schoolgirl is found dead,
Respect is paramount here at Pemberley.
and these mean girls are hiding something.
As captain of Pemberley's mock trial team, I can tell you your argument is both specious and circumstantial.
Friday, Bones, Season 10 at 10:40 on Pearl.
You're searching heaps of websites looking for the best hotel deal. Stop doing that to yourself. Let Trivago do it for you. Trivago compares prices from hundreds of websites and apps at the same time. It's that simple. Hotel? Trivago.
為是 S26 相信1分天資9分學習力。S26 Ultima 含 S-Lipid 神經鞘磷脂係腦細胞膜嘅重要元素，配合其他營養，有助打好健康同學習基礎。為是 S26。
I will tell you of Hercules, part mortal, part god.
You're the son of Zeus.
I was hoping for a challenge.
The gods have unleashed hell on earth. They are the descendants of Hades. They cannot be killed by an ordinary mortal.
If you help us, we will pay your weight in gold.
Where are we going?
Sunday, Hercules on Pearl's Weekend Blockbuster.
Good evening, welcome to Marketplace. Shares in Walmart have risen in New York after its first quarter results beat expectations. The world's biggest retailer posted a profit of $2.1 billion as online sales surged 33%. Revenue rose to $122 billion. The price of oil has hit $80 a barrel for the first time in 3.5 years. Brent crude reached $80.05 a barrel in London on concerns that Iranian exports could fall as US sanctions against Tehran loom. This comes after US President Donald Trump tore up a nuclear deal with Iran. The world's largest container shipping firm is preparing to shut down its business in Iran ahead of a reimposition of US sanctions. The head of Moller Maersk said the shipping firm cannot operate in Iran as it also has interests in the United States. French energy group Total earlier warned that it might scrap a gas project in Iran unless it secures a waiver from US sanctions. Malaysia's new Prime Minister says he'll respect all agreements with other countries, but Mahathir Mohamad is reviewing the viability of certain contracts with China.
We have made it clear that we want to look into all these contracts again because they are very costly for the government and we may incur huge debts which we cannot pay.
Hong Kong's securities regulator has fined Citigroup $57 million for failing in its duty as a sponsor in the listing of Real Gold Mining.